Anna Gail Bourne-Farrell, and today I'm going to be talking about the science of reading. So, a quick overview of what I'm going to be talking about today. We're going to hit on what exactly the science of reading is, the different phases and aspects, then we're going to come to why it's important for our kids, and then I have some resources included to use to make these slides. So, what is the science of reading exactly? It's really a new way to look at reading and how we teach it to our students. We want to sharpen their focus and strengthen their instruction, as well as create a love for reading. Personally, I love to read, and I believe that it's arguably the most important factor when it comes to our children's education. If they're not reading, they're really not understanding anything, and they will not go further with their career. First up, we have Scarborough's Rope. It was created in 2001, and this really is just a vivid metaphor to show how word recognition and language comprehension come together to create a skilled reader. Now, it consists of several different aspects. Up here in language comprehension, we have background knowledge, vocabulary, language structure, verbal reasoning, and literacy knowledge. This stuff becomes increasingly strategic, which means the more they do it, the more they will learn how to get better at it. And this is still, we're always working on this, right? We're learning new vocabulary words. We're always learning new things to put in our background knowledge. On the other hand, the bottom part, this word recognition, phonological awareness, decoding, sight recognition, is automatic, which means the more they do it, the more they should just be able to spit it out. They shouldn't have to sit there and track down the entire process to get to recognize a word, decode it. We can get that automaticity. And all of these wind together like strands in a rope to get to a skilled reader. We want to have them fluid in reading comprehension, and that is ultimately the goal of Scarborough's Rope. Next, we have the four-part mental processor. This processor has different components, 4 parts: context, meaning, phonological, and orthographic. All of these work together to get our children to understand how to read and how to recognize words. So, let's start with the context processor. This helps us understand words in relation to context. This is important, especially when we're reading and our kids have one word that means several different things. But depending on the context of it is what the meaning you need to get out of it is. So this is like a very important part for the kids to understand how to read. The next part, the meaning processor, makes meaning out of the sounds and letters that we are reading on the page. So they can read this all day, but if they are not understanding the meaning of it, they're not going to be able to process the word. Our phonological processor right here is the place in the brain that understands the combinations of sounds create words. So we have that these have meaning, and now we have a combination of them that knows, oh, these make words. All right, and then last is our orthographic processor, and it's where our brain takes the words on the page, the shapes and the letters, and it tells us, okay, this is a word, let's match them to the correct sounds. So when they do their orthographic mapping, it goes through their brain on this side, and they're able to see that image in their head of what the word is supposed to mean. Erie's phases, there are 4 phases. We start with pre-alphabetic and work our way up to consolidated alphabetic. Each phase has different stages in life. Normally, our pre-alphabetic stage is where our young kids are, like 0 to 2. They don't have any letter or word recognition at all. Then we move up here to early alphabetic. This is generally, they have some word recognition, still not a lot, but we're working up there. Here we get to later alphabetic, and this is where they have pretty good word recognition and sound recognition. They use their phoneme grapheme correspondences, and they can begin blending 3-segmented words. And later we get here to our consolidated alphabetic, and this is where we continue to develop automaticity. This is where you have your skilled readers. They are seeing the words on the pages and they're spitting them out. So these 4 phases as they move through life, this is generally where we want them to be, and we need to work our way up to get them to that consolidated alphabetic. The Simple View of Reading, this was developed in 1986, and this is developed to show how important decoding is when it comes to reading. A lot of times, our kids can't decode, and so we need to teach them that decoding to get them to read. We set this up like a math problem. As you know, if you have 0 on one side multiplied times 100, it will still be 0. This is because without one or the other, we cannot reach reading comprehension. So these must work together, and they need to be strong in the word recognition, strong in the language comprehension, to be able for them to get that reading comprehension that we seek. Alright, phonological awareness is an umbrella term that includes words, syllables, intrasyllables, which are onsets or rhymes, and also our phonemes. This is very important when it comes to the science of reading. It's not about the letters themselves, but rather the sounds that those letters make. So we need to teach our kids what the words sound like, chop up into our syllables to help them break down a word and piece it back together. Phonemic awareness is a part of our phonological awareness, and it is the most sophisticated and essential part. It's a sub-skill of decoding, and without being able to complete those different levels, they will not be able to understand a word when they see it. Now, these different levels are identification, isolation, blending, segmenting, and manipulation. They need to get through each of these, starting with identification first. We need to be able to say, hey, we know what that means, or we know what it looks like, we know what that is, to get to isolating the sounds, blending them back together, segmenting our words, and then also manipulating them. Phonics is the relationships between sounds and print. Now, oftentimes people get this confused with phonological awareness because they are so similar. The difference is phonics is the knowledge of the letter sounds, and we use that knowledge to understand our words. Phonological awareness is just being aware of all that. This is putting it into practice. We have our phonemes, which is the sounds of our language, and then we have graphemes, which is the letters that represent those phonemes. So we can have several different graphemes to represent phonemes. Alright, to wrap all this up, I just want to say that this is very important, I believe. The science of reading is here to help us as teachers, but it's also to help our students. We want to find a way to understand what's going on in their minds and how to teach to that to help them become skilled readers. As an English teacher, I am very strong on I want my kids to read. I believe it is very important. And this is a way that we can build that love for reading, but also build their skill for reading to get them ahead in life. Here are a few resources that I used to create this presentation. Thank you so much for listening to what I have to say today.